All right. 70 slides to go through, so this will be fast. Everything you need to know for Avengers Endgame.
Yay!
There are two main themes to the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Family, whether blood relations or the family that you choose, and responsibility. If you have the power to change the world, which we all do to some extent, what responsibility do you have to use that power? Keep an eye out for these themes in the movies. Let's see. In the beginning, there was the Big Bang. Now scratch that. Before the Big Bang, there was another universe. 6 universes, actually. It's a repeating cycle of Big Bang, universal expansion, eventual contraction, and another Big Bang. Only a few things survived from the last universe. The most important being the Infinity Stones. 6 objects with power over the fundamental forces of the universe. Space, mind, reality, power, time, and soul. Each radiating with raw power, but with specific power over their namesakes. So the Space Stone can teleport you anywhere. The Mind Stone can brainwash people. The Soul Stone is particularly weird. It appears to be sentient, and you can travel inside it to the soul world, which is kind of like an afterlife. Let's see, the only other things that we know of that survived from the previous universe are the Dark Elves. They just want to destroy everything because to them everything was so much better in the old universe. Can't get a good bagel in this universe. The water's not right. At one point in ancient history, the Dark Elves got a hold of the Reality Stone to try to destroy the universe. But Bor, king of the Asgardians and grandfather to Thor, stopped them and hid the Reality Stone away for millennia. Also, at the beginning of the universe, there were these godlike beings called the Celestials. This is one of them using the Power Stone to destroy a planet. They died out, except for one, Ego, the living planet, and he was very lonely. In some of the alien races in the early universe, there were a few individuals that became powerful enough to become immortal. When you live for millions of years, you either find a hobby, go crazy, or both. The two elders of the universe that we've seen in the movie so far are the Collector, who collects things, and the Grandmaster, who gambles on things. Also, in a side dimension, we've got the dread Dormammu, who's your basic devil guy, wants to conquer the universe. At some point, a group of sorcerers got a hold of the Time Stone and formed a society to stop Dormammu and any other magical threats to the universe. One key point, the dark dimension that he's from, time doesn't work there the way it works here. That's how weird and other Dormammu and his dimension are. 5,000 years ago, a meteorite of vibranium struck the African region of Wakanda, where the locals worship the panther god. Vibranium absorbs force, and you can make any kind of ridiculous technology and explain it away by saying, oh, it's vibranium. Meanwhile, in space, the Kree are an ancient race of aliens that like to conquer other civilizations, notably the Xandar and the Skrulls. The Kree have 2 ethnic groups, the blue ones and the ones that conveniently just look like humans. They're led by the Supreme Intelligence, which is an artificial intelligence built from all of the dead smart Kree. And their generals are called the Accusers, and they carry big hammers. Thousands of years ago, the Kree came to Earth to experiment on humans to create biological weapons. This didn't work out for them, but some humans created a secret society to use the bits of technology that they left to try to take over the world. This society was called Hydra. So, the Norse gods exist, but they're kind of gods and kind of aliens. And their technology is so advanced that it might as well be magic. And they all dress like they're at the Renaissance Fair. They live in Asgard, which is kind of a different planet out in space, and they've got the Bifrost, the Rainbow Bridge, that allows them to travel to Earth or other realms. The leader of the gods was Odin. He was super powerful, had the reality and the space stones. And at first he went around conquering other realms with his daughter Hela, goddess of death, and his army of female warriors, the Valkyrie. Odin got tired of war eventually. Hela didn't. So they fought. Odin imprisoned Hela, but not before she killed all of the Valkyrie except one. Also, Odin decided that he didn't want to keep two stones in Asgard, so he hid one in hid the space stone in a church in Norway. Odin went on to have a son, Thor, god of thunder, noble but headstrong. Also, after winning a battle against frost giants, Odin found a baby frost giant and adopted him. That became Loki, god of mischief, who is like that cousin who's fun and usually nice, but you know is going to end up in jail. Thanos lived on the planet Titan, where he saw the ecological disasters that were going on and decided that the solution would be to kill half of the universe's population so that everyone left would have enough. The philosophy doesn't stand up to much scrutiny, so don't think about it too hard. But he does mean well, and he's very proactive in his mass murder. World War II. Hydra has infiltrated the Nazi program to create a master race through a scientific super soldier serum. German Jewish scientist Dr. Erskine steals the formula and defects to the United States. Hydra tries out the formula on their leader, and it doesn't quite work. He ends up looking like that and taking the name the Red Skull. Hydra's next plan is to get the space stone from where it was in Norway and use it to build super weapons. Now, Steve Rogers from Brooklyn wanted to join the army like his buddy Bucky, but Steve was too scrawny and sickly until Dr. Erskine picked him to test the super soldier serum. So he became the powerful Captain America, and then Erskine was assassinated, taking the secret formula with him. Cap also gets his signature shield, which was made out of vibranium, so it's everything proof, and he can throw it in physics-bending ways. And it was built by genius industrialist Howard Stark. Cap and Bucky fight Nazis in Europe until Bucky falls into a frozen river where he is recovered by Hydra agents, taken to a secret base in Russia where they test their own super soldier serum on him, brainwash him, and turn him into an assassin called the Winter Soldier. Cap, meanwhile, goes on to fight the Red Skull. The Skull has two final plans. One, he grabs the Space Stone to try to directly use its power, but it's too powerful. It teleports him to the planet Vormir, where he has to spend the next 70 years guarding the Soul Stone. The other plan was to send an atomic robot plane to New York. Cap gets on the plane, saves New York by crashing it into the Arctic, where he's frozen for many years. After the war, Howard Stark, aided by his trusty butler Jarvis, creates the secret spy agency S.H.I.E.L.D., which recovers the Space Stone and keeps it safe in their Project Pegasus. Unfortunately, there are Hydra agents infiltrating S.H.I.E.L.D. from the beginning, and it would take them a while to do much damage. Meanwhile, in space, Ego decides that the cure for loneliness is to have children and absorb the life force from them so that he can take over the universe as one hive mind. So he goes around the galaxy impregnating aliens, including Earthling Meredith Quill, begatting Peter Quill. Ego hires a bunch of space pirates to round up his children, but after picking up Peter, the pirates figure out that Ego is just killing him off, so instead they raise Peter as one of their own. In other space, in the Kree-Skrull War, the Kree are trying to eradicate all the Skrulls, but the Skrulls are able to hide because they have the ability to change shape. Kree scientist Mar-Vell switches sides and goes to 1980s Earth, to Project Pegasus, to experiment with the Space Stone, to build something that will allow the Skrull refugees to run really far away. The Kree find and kill Mar-Vell, causing her Time Stone-powered engine to explode. The energy is absorbed by fighter pilot Carol Danvers, who becomes super strong, tough, can fly, and can blast energy from her hands. She is then taken by the Kree and brainwashed to use her new powers for the Kree army. Danvers is a badass who has been wronged and isn't going to take it anymore. Meanwhile, in space, Thanos kills half of the population of the planet Zenhuberi, but adopts Gamora, a child that he finds there. At some point later, he also adopts a girl, Nebula. He raises them in his warped philosophy and trains them to fight, often pitting them against one another. When Nebula lost, which was always, Thanos would have parts of her replaced with cybernetics to try to make her stronger. Scientist Hank Pym discovers the Pym particle, with which he can cause things to grow or shrink. He and his wife Janet become the superheroes Ant-Man and the Wasp, working for S.H.I.E.L.D., until a mission where Janet had to sacrifice herself by becoming so small, she entered the quantum realm, where the laws of nature are so different that she can't return. Howard Stark continues research into the super soldier serum. So Hydra sends the Winter Soldier, Cap's friend Bucky, to kill him and his wife and steal the formula. Although then Hydra still can't get the formula to work. The Stark's genius but irresponsible son Tony inherits Stark Industries. Natasha Romanoff, Black Widow, is raised in Russia's Red Room program and turned into a super spy, about which she still has nightmares. Eventually, she defects to S.H.I.E.L.D. with the help of S.H.I.E.L.D. agent Clint Barton, Hawkeye, who is notable for using a bow and arrows for some reason, and for having a regular home life with a family on a farm, which is probably not going to turn out well. The Black Widow is very serious and determined to make up for all the bad things that she did back when she was a Russian agent. Kingdom of Wakanda. Under King T'Chaka, uses its vibranium to create a secret high-tech society that remains apart from the rest of the world. Also, traditionally, the king of Wakanda goes through a religious ceremony that connects him to his ancestors and provides him with super physical abilities and the title the Black Panther. Carol Danvers returns to Earth, learns the truth about the Kree-Skrull War, and overcomes the manipulations of Yon-Ra, her Kree commander, and destroys most of the Kree space fleet, led by Ronan the Accuser. Along the way, she meets S.H.I.E.L.D. agents Phil Coulson and Nick Fury, who will go on to become the head of S.H.I.E.L.D. and start planning for the Avengers Initiative, where he will gather superhumans to protect the Earth from outside threats. Kirill goes to space, ends up going off to space with the Skrulls, leaving Fury a space pager in case of emergency. The Space Stone is returned to Project Pegasus. Scientist Bruce Banner worked for a US Army program to try to recreate the super soldier serum, but things go wrong and he becomes the Hulk. When Banner becomes angry, he gets the enormous physical strength and toughness, but limited mind of the Hulk. Although the Hulk is useful, Banner resents sharing control of his body. He doesn't appreciate that the Hulk feels the same way. Kidnapped by terrorists, Tony Stark builds his first Iron Man armor to get free. This snaps him out of his irresponsible, arrogant, reckless playboy lifestyle, turning him into an arrogant, reckless playboy dedicated to keeping the world safe. Nick Fury approaches Tony to discuss the Avengers Initiative. Note Tony's long-suffering girl Friday, Pepper Potts, his now artificial intelligence that he is named Jarvis, based on the voice and personality of his father's butler. And later, when Tony backslides into his irresponsible ways, his friend Lieutenant Colonel James Rhodey Rhodes gets his own suit of armor, serving the Air Force as War Machine. Odin banishes Thor to Earth for being reckless and headstrong. And there is an enchantment on Thor's hammer, Mjolnir, that says, "Whosoever holds this hammer, if he be worthy, shall possess the power of Thor. And being unworthy, Thor can't pick up the hammer." Loki, who set up the whole banishment to begin with, comes down to Earth to keep Thor stuck there, but ironically provides Thor with the challenge that he needs to prove himself worthy. Thor wins, but the Bifrost Bridge is destroyed, stranding Thor on Earth. This whole thing makes Nick Fury even more freaked out about not being able to defend the planet from all of these supernatural threats. So S.H.I.E.L.D. finds and thaws out Captain America. Meanwhile, Thanos enlists Loki to go get the Time Stone from Earth, or the Space Stone from Earth, arming him with the Mind Stone and an alien army called the Chitauri. So Fury brings together Iron Man, Captain America, the Hulk, Black Widow, and Hawkeye to form the Avengers. So the dynamic here, Iron Man is always trying to control everything around him. Bruce Banner is struggling to control himself. And Captain America wants to free everyone to be their best selves. And the Black Widow and Hawkeye are there too. So Loki plays their alpha personalities against one another, and the Avengers fight amongst themselves. Only when Loki kills Phil Coulson are the Avengers brought together as a team, just in time for the Battle of New York. Loki uses the Space Stone to open a portal in space to bring the Chitauri fleet in. The Avengers fight them, but shadowy government forces assume they're going to fail and order a nuclear strike against Manhattan. Iron Man is able to redirect the missile back through the portal to destroy the alien fleet, but he's left with PTSD and fear from just the scope of the threats. The rest of the world is pretty freaked out too, but they're generally generally excited and mollified to also find out that the Avengers exist and they're there to help. So S.H.I.E.L.D. now has the Mind Stone, and Thor takes Loki and the Space Stone back to Asgard. So, the Dark Elves try to use the Reality Stone to destroy the universe again. Thor stops them, but along the way, Loki turns mostly good and sacrifices himself to save the day. Actually, although he did help to stop the Dark Elves, Loki faked his death, kidnapped Odin, and took the throne of Asgard disguised as his adopted father. So, the fall of S.H.I.E.L.D. Captain America meets new friend Sam Wilson, the Falcon, a former soldier who has mechanical wings. Hydra tries to take over S.H.I.E.L.D., sends the Winter Soldier to kill Nick Fury. Captain America and the Black Widow are able to stop Hydra, but in the process, S.H.I.E.L.D. is no longer trusted and is shut down. The Winter Soldier's brainwashing is mostly undone, and Bucky starts to remember his true identity. Hydra gets the Mind Stone and experiments on twins, creating Quicksilver and the Scarlet Witch, who is only ever called Wanda. Quicksilver can run really fast, and Wanda can make you see your worst fears, throw energy blasts, and move things around with her mind, or anything else that the plot requires. Guardians of the Galaxy. A truce is called in this Kree-Xandar war, but Ronan the Accuser still wants to destroy Xandar. So he goes to work for Thanos to get the Power Stone and get his revenge on Xandar. Thanos sends Gamora to find the Soul Stone, which she finds on planet Vormir, but instead of telling Thanos, she runs away, swearing to return to kill him. Grown-up Peter Quill, calling himself Star-Lord, forms a team with Gamora, Rocket, Groot, and Drax. They call themselves the Guardians of the Galaxy. Rocket is a wisecracking alien raccoon whose best friend is Groot, an alien walking tree that only says, "I am Groot," but everyone understands him anyway. Drax is a professional wrestler. Their dynamic is they're all sort of orphans who have come together to form a family. After a hard-fought dance-off, the Guardians defeat Ronan, the Power Stone is left on Xandar for safekeeping, and Groot is killed in the fight. But he leaves a clipping that grows into a new baby Groot.
Spirit animal.
Age of Ultron. The Avengers fight Hydra, freeing Quicksilver and Wanda and the Mind Stone. Wanting to create a weapon that will keep humanity safe, Tony and Bruce experiment with the Mind Stone to create the artificial intelligence robot, Ultron, which then tries to kill humanity. Jarvis becomes sentient, takes a robot body and the Mind Stone, and becomes the Vision, who is strong, can fly, and can phase through solid objects. Together, they defeat Ultron, but the nation of Sokovia is mostly destroyed, and Quicksilver is killed. Convinced that he's a danger to everyone, the Hulk flies off in a jet and somehow goes through a wormhole, winding up on the planet Sakaar, where he fights in a coliseum for the Grandmaster. Thor heads off into space to look for more Infinity Stones. So, Hank Pym recruits ex-con Scott Lang to help get back control of his company and control over Pym particles. Scott becomes the new Ant-Man to the frustration of Hank's daughter Hope, who eventually gets her own shrinking suit as the new Wasp. Scott is a down-on-his-luck everyman, wants to be helpful, and wants to be a good role model for his daughter Cassie. Bronx teen Peter Parker is bitten by a radioactive spider and gets spider powers. Recognizing his potential, Iron Man gives him some high-tech gear, but would rather keep the youngster safe and out of the Avengers. Peter looks up to Iron Man as a father figure. After the destruction of Sokovia, the UN decides that superheroes need to be regulated. The evil Baron Zemo kills King T'Chaka, framing the Winter Soldier and solidifying public sentiment against independent superheroes. Iron Man comes down in favor of government control and Captain America against. They fight one another in an airport in Germany with the heroes that agree on their respective sides. The struggle culminates with Cap and Iron Man fighting on whether or not to bring in Bucky, when Zemo reveals that the Winter Soldier killed Iron Man's parents, although under mind control. Cap wins the fight, but goes into hiding with the heroes that sided with him. He delivers Bucky to Wakanda, where they might be able to reprogram him. Hawkeye and Ant-Man surrender to house arrest to try to get back their normal lives, and Iron Man keeps Captain America's shield. T'Challa, the new king of Wakanda, becomes the new Black Panther with superhuman strength, toughness, speed, and a ridiculous high-tech suit. His sister, Shuri, is a genius scientist, and he has a group of personal female bodyguards called the Dora Milaje. T'Challa is a deep thinker, driven by his duty to his kingdom. He reveals the existence of Wakanda to the world and offers to share their technology with the less fortunate. Dr. Stephen Strange was a rich, arrogant, world-class surgeon when he injured his hands. Searching everywhere for a cure, he meets the Ancient One, the Sorcerer Supreme, who is in charge of protecting the universe from magical threats, and Wong, a sorcerer who adopts the role of exasperated sidekick. Remember that these are the guys who are protecting the Time Stone. Dr. Strange learns some humility and a lot of magic. When they battle Dormammu, the Ancient One dies, but Dr. Strange saves the day when he goes into the Dark Dimension and creates a time loop. Even though Dormammu kills Strange, the Time Stone reverses time back 30 seconds so that Strange is alive again, and Dormammu kills him again repeatedly. Dormammu loses his patience first and swears to leave Earth alone. Dr. Strange becomes the new Sorcerer Supreme, but is still kind of a jerk about it. He wants to help humanity, but he doesn't actually like people. So Star-Lord meets and then kills his father to prevent Ego from taking over the universe. Baby Groot has grown up into surly teen group. He's Teen Groot. The Guardians get new member Mantis, who can read and instill emotions in others. Nebula and Gamora reconcile, bonding over their shared desire to kill their father Thanos. And Star-Lord and Gamora are now in it's complicated. Scott and the Pyms figure out how to go into the quantum realm to rescue Janet. We learn that being in the quantum realm changes you, that there are civilizations down there, and you have to beware of the time vortexes. Things that I assume are going to be important. With Loki secretly on the throne of Asgard, Thanos is able to raid Nidavellir, where the dwarves use a star to forge the weapons of the gods. Thanos forces them to create a gauntlet able to control all 6 Infinity Stones. He kills all of the dwarves except one, Eitri, and crushes Eitri's hands so that he can't make anything in the future. Thanos then goes to Xandar, wrecks the place, and takes the Power Stone. Note that as a plot point, to use the gauntlet, Thanos has to be able to close his fist. Thor makes it back to Asgard, discovers Loki, and forces him to go free Odin. They find Odin on Earth just as their father is dying. Odin tells them about their sister Hela, who returns to beat them up, destroy Thor's hammer, and take over Asgard. Thor and Loki run away, but wind up trapped on Sakaar, where the Grand Master is running his gladiator combat. Note, time works differently on Sakaar. They meet Brunhild, the last Valkyrie, who is a bitter loner, and the Hulk, who has been in control of the body for a long time at this point, and has been enjoying his life as a celebrity gladiator, but he's still insecure when Thor wants to interact with Bruce Banner. They all make it back to Asgard to stop Hela, but to do it, they have to destroy Asgard, with Loki stopping long enough to pick up the Space Stone. The remaining Asgardians escape on a spaceship, which is intercepted by Thanos' ship. Although some of the Asgardians, including Brunhild, escape, Thanos and his henchmen, the Black Order, kill many of them. The Hulk is beaten bodily by Thanos, but gets teleported to Earth before Thanos can kill him. Loki tries to trick Thanos, but Thanos kills him, probably. He has a history of faking his death. And Thanos takes the Space Stone. Thor is just thrown off into space. So the Black Order head to Earth to get the time and the Mind Stones. Bruce, turned back from the Hulk, arrives first and warns Doctor Strange and Iron Man. Note, from this point forward, Bruce can't turn into the Hulk. The Hulk actively refuses. Iron Man reluctantly calls Captain America to warn him to protect the Vision, who has the Mind Stone embedded in his forehead. They fight the Black Order, but Strange and the Time Stone are taken on a ship bound for Titan. Iron Man and Spider-Man are able to get on the ship and free Strange. And Strange reluctantly agrees to Iron Man's high-risk plan to take the fight to Thanos. But he says, if it comes to saving you, or the kid, or the Time Stone, I will not hesitate to let either of you die. Captain America and friends save the Vision and Scarlet Witch, who are a couple now, from the Black Order. The Vision comes up with a plan to destroy the Mind Stone, which would probably kill him, but to keep it out of Thanos' hands. Since the Scarlet Witch's power also come from the Mind Stone, her powers should be able to destroy it. We gotta accept that logic. Captain America refuses to accept this lesser of evils plan and takes everyone to Wakanda to see if they can figure out how to remove the Mind Stone without killing the Vision. The Guardians find Thor in the wreckage of his ship. Star-Lord is immediately insecure around Thor and keeps trying to show off in front of his teammates. Thor doesn't even notice. Thor, Team Groot, and Rocket head back to Nidavellir to get a weapon to fight Thanos. The rest head to Nowhere, which is where the Collector lives, to stop Thanos from getting the Reality Stone from him. Gamora makes Star-Lord promise to kill her if Thanos captures her, because she knows where the Soul Stone is and doesn't want Thanos to know. So on Nowhere, Thanos already has the Reality Stone and uses it to mess with them. Peter waffles on his promise to kill Gamora, and she's captured. Thanos tortures Nebula until Gamora reveals the location of the Soul Stone on Vormir. he takes her there where they meet the Red Skull, who tells Thanos that to get the stone, Thanos must sacrifice the thing he loves most. Gamora thinks that he loves nothing, but he loves her. So he kills her and gets the Soul Stone. The Guardians meet up with Strange, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and Nebula, who was already there, on Titan. Doctor Strange uses the Time Stone to view 14,605 possible futures and finds that there's only one in which they win. Thanos shows up and they fight. The heroes almost get the gauntlet off him, but Star-Lord loses it when he learns that Gamora died, and he screws everything up. I don't think the filmmakers appreciated how bad that would make him look. So try not to blame him too much. Doctor Strange then surrenders the Time Stone to Thanos in return for not killing Iron Man. So, you know, somehow this is going to set up the one future where they're going to win. Thor, Groot, and Rocket meet Eitri, and they forge Stormbreaker, a super powerful axe hammer that can summon the Bifrost. Groot rips off his own arm to make the handle. It's totally that moment when your aloof teenager reveals that they actually do care and they were listening to you the whole time. So back in Wakanda, Shuri thinks she has a way to remove the Mind Stone from Vision, but it'll take time. Banner, unable to turn into the Hulk, puts on a giant Iron Man suit. Thanos' army arrives, and there's a big fight. The bad guys are winning, and the first plan isn't going to work. So the Vision makes Wanda kill him by destroying the Mind Stone. And then Thanos uses the Time Stone to reverse time to before the Mind Stone was destroyed, and rips it out of Vision's head, killing him again. Thor shows up, almost kills Thanos, but Thanos snaps his fingers, killing half the universe, and then teleports away. Let's see, there's an interlude where Thanos, when he teleports out, he stops in the Soul World, where he meets sort of the ghost of Gamora. Okay, that was not as loud as I wanted it to be. But Thanos recognizes that the terrible price that he paid, even though he still thinks it's worth it. So a bunch of people die. Bucky Barnes, T'Challa, Team Groot, whose last words to Rocket were, "I am Groot," which in this case meant Dad. The Scarlet Witch, the Falcon, the Vision's already dead, Mantis, Drax, Star-Lord, and Strange, who tells Iron Man it was the only way.
No. Why do you want us to cry?
Yeah.
You're right. I don't know what's happening. I don't know.
Thanos retires somewhere nice, but note that the gauntlet is now busted up. He can use the stone's powers at least some, but the big wishes will be beyond him. But as far as he's concerned, he's done. Meanwhile, the Pyms have built a portal to the quantum realm in the back of a van. Scott Lang goes in just before the snap, which kills the Pyms, who are his support crew, leaving no one to help bring him back. Nick Fury also disappears, but not before activating the pager to summon Captain Marvel. And that's the end. Caught up. Nothing else to see until you go to Endgame. Here's a post-credits scene.
Hi, I'm Captain America, here to talk to you about one of the most valuable traits a soldier or student can have: patience. Sometimes patience is the key to victory. Sometimes it leads to very little. It seems like it's not worth it. And you wonder why you waited so long for something so disappointing. How many more of these?
That's it.
So we're gonna have one of these for Star Wars too, right?
Wait, I have a question.
Yes.
So, since Star-Lord killed his dad, Ego,
Yeah.
he's technically just human now? He's not half God anymore?
Nope.
He doesn't have the powers that came with being half God, no.
So he's stuck regardless.
But doesn't he
So
have
he
stones?
can die.
Hmm?
Didn't he like take them as